Very good morning to all of you, my friends. Welcome back. So, very good morning, everyone. So, today we'll be starting with altogether a new chapter, that is standard costing. In the previous 3 sessions, we discussed in detail service costing. I hope you guys have solved all the questions of service costing. So, now let's start with the next chapter, that is standard costing. Now, this chapter, it's not a part of cost accounting, it's a part of management accounting. This chapter has nothing to do with calculation of cost. जैसे cost sheet पे हमने पढ़ा था कि manufacturing concern cost per unit निकालने के लिए cost sheet prepare करती है. To record the cost, construction companies use contract costing, wherein the raw material has to pass through various processes before being converted into final product. The companies were using process costing. Similarly, the companies who are into service sector uses service costing to calculate the cost per unit. So this chapter has nothing to do with calculation of cost. So what is standard costing? It's a part of management accounting and it assists management in decision making. Very good morning, Suman. Now, the another name of this chapter is variance analysis. So now what is standard costing? How it assists management in decision making? 1 second, guys. Very good morning, Kiran Shukla. So when talking about the weightage of this chapter, the weightage is 12 to 14 marks. So this chapter is very important from examination point of view. Approx 12 marks, the examiner is going to ask you the questions on standard costing. So now let's proceed further. So now this chapter, how it assists management in decision making, what exactly standard costing is or what exactly variance analysis is. Let's start. Now, every company do set up benchmark targets or standards at the beginning of the year. I repeat again, every company do set up benchmark targets or standards at the beginning of the year, and they do compare these targets set with the actual results. So the deviation or difference between the target set and the actual results is what we call as variances. कि हमने जो टारगेट सेट किया था और एक्चुअल रिजल्ट्स आए थे उसके बीच में जो डिफरेंस आ रहा है, that is what we call it as variances. And who is the person behind these variances? What is the reason behind these variances? That also standard costing techniques help us to figure out. So that's why we call this chapter as variance analysis also. So I repeat again, guys, every company do set up benchmark targets or standards at the beginning of the year, and they do compare these target sets with the actual results at the end of the year. So the deviation between the difference between the target set and the actual results, we call it as variances. And why these variances? What is the reason behind this deviation or variances? That also standard costing technique help us to figure out. Let me discuss this point with the help of an example, how it works. Let's say I do manufacture 10,000 units in a year. I do manufacture 10,000 units in a year. No, now I set up the target that these 10,000 units will be manufactured using 20,000 kgs of raw material. This was my target, that these 10,000 units will be manufactured using 20,000 kgs of raw material. But when the actual figures were out, these 10,000 units were manufactured using 22,000 kgs of raw material. I repeat again, we are manufacturing 10,000 units. Actually, we are manufacturing 10,000 units. Now, as per the target set, these 10,000 units should be manufactured using 20,000 kgs of raw material. However, when the actual figures were out, we actually consumed 22,000 kgs of raw material. So, how much raw material we consumed extra? 2,000 kgs. We consume 2,000 kgs extra raw material. मतलब हमने ज़्यादा raw material use कर दिया. So it's a loss to the company. So we call it as adverse for the company. Similarly, let's say I thought that these 10,000 units will be manufactured using 15,000 labor hours. These 10,000 units will take 15,000 labor hours. It means one unit will take 1.5 labor hour. But when the actual results were out, these units were manufactured in 14,500 hours only. It means what? My workers did a great job. They worked efficiently. So we can say 500 hours, they worked efficiently. So it's a good sign for the company. So we call it as favorable for the company. Another example. Let's say I thought that these 10,000 units will be manufactured at an overall fixed cost of rupees 10 lakh. I repeat again, as per the target set that I will manufacture these 10,000 units with an overall fixed cost of 10 lakh. But however, when the actual figures were out, the actual cost incurred was 10 lakh 20,000. Again, 20,000 extra spent. So we call it as adverse for the company. So I repeat again, when talking about standard costing, the difference between the target set and the actual results are we call as variances. And why this variances, this costing techniques help us to figure out. So first point, this costing technique, the standard costing technique help us to first of all find out that what are the variances. Second point, why these variances? What is the reason behind these variances? That also standard costing technique help us to figure out. If you guys have any doubts in this part, you guys can please post your query. Further, I request you guys to please copy this part. Miss Noor Jamila M, this is all what we call as under or over absorption of overhead. I'll be discussing this part separately. Sudhanshu, please wait. Further, Ms. Noor Jamila, this is the difference between the estimated fixed cost and the actual fixed cost. So now let's proceed further. Now let's say I'm the owner of a company. I'm having a manufacturing unit, and so I'm having a manufacturing unit. Now, what I am most concerned about, what is the end result of setting up this factory? What is the major motive behind all this? Very simple, guys, profit. So at the end of the day, why I'm doing business? For profits. Now let's say I have provided enough of resources, working capital, and as per the industry trend, I set up a target that at least I should earn a profit of rupees 5 lakh. Accordingly, I provided the man, machine, resources, funds, and I set up the target as per industrial standards that I should get a profit of at least rupees 5 lakh. So this was my target profit, and this was the target set that I'm providing you. So I set up the target for my employees that I'm providing you ample amount of resources, ample amount of man, machinery, material, and accordingly, I should get a profit of rupees 5 lakh. Now, at the year end, when the actual results were out, my actual profit was only rupees 3 lakh. That is rupees 2 lakh less than what I expected. That is rupees 2 lakh less than what I expected. So this is not a good sign for the company. So we call it as adverse for the company. I repeat again, guys. I provided enough of man, machinery, resources, material, everything. And I set up the target that at least I should earn a profit of rupees 5 lakh by the end of the year. However, when the actual results were out, my actual profit was only rupees 3 lakh. It means what? 2 lakh less than what I expected. So, since it's a bad sign for the company, so we call it as adverse. Now, I have to figure out that where exactly I went wrong. मुझसे गलती कहाँ हुई? Where exactly it went wrong? So now, when talking about profit, how profit is calculated? Sales minus cost. It means two elements are responsible for change in profit. So it means what? If there is a deviation of 2 lakh, ये 2 lakh का deviation क्यों आया होगा? Either there is something going wrong in the sales department or there is something going wrong in the production department. So the reason for difference in profit is why? Either due to change in sales department, or there is something wrong in either due to change in sales department or due to change or due to deviation in cost department or production department. These are the two factors responsible for deviation in profit, that is either sales या फिर production या cost. So now, when talking about cost part also, again there are various elements of cost, that is material, labor, and overheads. When talking about overheads also, we can further divide it in two parts, that is fixed and variable. I repeat again, as per the target set, I should earn a profit of at least 5 lakh. However, when the actual results were out, my actual profit was only 3 lakh. It means my profit is less. How much? 2 lakh than what I expected. So it's an adverse sign for the company. It's adverse for the company. Now, किस वजह से ये deviation आया होगा? Either sales department में कुछ गड़बड़ हुआ होगा, या फिर production department, it means what, cost में कुछ गड़बड़ हुआ होगा. These are the two factors that are responsible for profit. When talking about the cost department, it can be further divided in material, labor, and overhead. These are the three major elements of cost, that is material, labor, and overhead. Further, overhead can be further classified in two parts, that is fixed and variable. So it means 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. These are the 5 factors that are responsible for this deviation of rupees 2 lakh. Now, what I will do is, I will do the in-depth analysis of these 5 departments to figure out that who is the culprit, who is the reason behind this deviation of rupees 2 lakh. We have to investigate that where exactly we are going wrong. That is, either there is something going wrong in material department or labor department or fixed overhead department or variable overhead department or sales department. We have to figure out. So this is how this standard costing techniques helps. That is, सबसे पहले गड़बड़ कहाँ हो रही है. Now, thereafter, to figure out that who is the actual person or who is the actual department that is who is responsible for this variances. That also standard costing technique help us to figure out. So this standard costing, we can say it's a diagnostic report. Suppose if you go to a doctor, आप डॉक्टर के पास जाते हैं, Mr. Doctor, I'm down with fever. So what the doctor will suggest you? Go for a blood test report. Now, this blood test report, once the blood test report is out, the doctor will be able to understand that this is the problem and he will medicate you accordingly. So this standard costing is just like a diagnostic report. That problem hai, yes. Kahan problem hai? That standard costing technique help us to figure out. So it's just like a diagnostic report of the companies, wherein for each and every department they provide the detailed report, and accordingly management will take corrective action where exactly jahan pe gadbad ho rahi hai, management will figure out and they will take the necessary action accordingly. So this is how standard costing technique works. So if you guys have any doubts in this part, you guys can please post your query. As far as conceptual part, you guys can please post your query. I request you guys to please copy this part. Yes, Darshan. Anyone having any doubts? Suman, Farah, Kiran, Komal, Bhumika, Sudhanshu, Himanshu, Arunima, any doubts? जैसे आपका ब्लड टेस्ट रिपोर्ट होता है, वैसे ये कंपनी का डिटेल्ड रिपोर्ट होता है. ब्लड टेस्ट में पता चलता है कि कहां पे गड़बड़ है आपकी बॉडी में. वैसे ही द स्टैंडर्ड कॉस्टिंग रिपोर्ट help us to figure out that where exactly it's going wrong और कहां पे गड़बड़ हो रहा है कंपनी में. And then once we figure out that at this point there is something going wrong in the company, so management will take corrective action accordingly. So now what we have to do, as the owner of the company, now I'm worried because my profit, there is a deviation in my profit of rupees 2 lakh, that is 2 lakh. My profit is much less than what I expected, that is 2 lakh less than what I expected. Now what I have to do? I have to investigate these departments, that is sales department, material department, labor department, fixed overhead department, and variable overhead department. Now from examination point of view, Yes, Bhumika. So from examination point of view, this chapter is not covered in IPCC. We'll be investigating these four departments only, that is material, labor, fixed and variable overhead. I repeat again, guys, from examination point of view, this part is not there in the syllabus. So we'll be investigating material department, labor department, fixed overhead department and variable overhead department. So these four departments will be discussing at the inter level, and at final level, again, the sales department will be covered in detail. So let's start. So let's start with the investigation of the material department. So let's start with the investigation of the material department. So now, since I'm the owner of the company and the profit is less than what I expected, that is, there is a deviation in profit of rupees 2 lakh. Now what I will do is I'll start with the investigation of material department. So let's say Mr. Darshan is the head of material department. Let me discuss this practically with the help of an example. So let's say Mr. Darshan is the head of the material department. I call Mr. Darshan that Mr. Darshan, the profit is rupees 2 lakh less than what I expected. And I think your material department has contributed to this deviation of rupees 2 lakh. So please do submit the detailed report that if anything is going on wrong, then please let me know. So what Darshan will do, Darshan will prepare a report that yes, if there is any mistake in our department or not. Now, how Darshan will work, I'll just make you understand, guys, that what will be the working of Darshan, that is, who is the head of material department. Now, what Darshan will do, he'll first check that what were the targets set by the company. What Darshan will do, he will first check that what were the targets that were set by the company. So, let's say 2 raw materials are required to manufacture the product what we are manufacturing. Let's say X and Y. When talking about the quantity, let's say we use 60 kgs of X and 40 kgs of Y. So my total input is how much? 100. Further, company has predicted well in advance that there will be a normal loss of 20 units and my output will be 80. So as per the target set by the company, for manufacturing every 80 units, we have to use 60 units of X, 40 units of Y, input will be 100, 20 will be normal loss and 80 will be the output. I repeat again, what were the targets set by the company? Wherein for every 80 units we are manufacturing, 60 will be the input of X, 40 will be the input of Y, 100 will be my total input, 20 will be my normal loss and 80 will be my output. Further, when talking about price also, let's say the management has provided that X should be purchased at the rate of rupees 5, Y should be purchased at the rate of rupees 4. So this was the target set by the company. Company ने बोला था कि for every 80 units we have to use 2 raw material, that is X and Y. X we have to use 60, Y we have to use 40. The input will be 100, 20 will be the output and 20 will be the normal loss and 80 will be the output. So this is the data provided for every 80 units of output. Now, what Darshan will do, he will check the actual results also. So when the actual data was ready, the actual raw material used of X was 700, of Y it was 300, the total input was of 1000, there was a normal loss of 300 units and the output was 700. Further, the price at which X was purchased was rupees 4 and for Y it was 5. So when talking about the total amount, it was 2800, 1500, so these were the actual results. I repeat again, the company has set up a target that for every 80 units, we have to use 60 units of X, 40 units of Y, total input will be 100, 20 will be the normal loss and 80 will be the output. कंपनी ने ऐसा नहीं बोला था कि सिर्फ 80 यूनिट्स मैन्युफैक्चर करने हैं. कंपनी ने ये बोला था कि दिस विल बी द डेटा फॉर एवरी 80 यूनिट्स. सो इफ यू आर मैन्युफैक्चरिंग 800 यूनिट्स, 600 will be X, 400 will be Y, 1000 inputs will be the total inputs, 200 will be the normal loss and 800 will be the output. So the company has provided the data, budgeted data for every 80 units. This is not our budgeted output, but this is the data for every 80 units of output. Now the point is we have to calculate the deviation. Now Darshan has to figure out that are there any deviation between the budget set and the actual result. So my point is, are these two figures comparable? क्या हम लोग ऐसा बोल सकते हैं कि we were supposed to use 60 units but we actually use 700 units? I repeat again, can we say that we were supposed to use 60 kgs but we actually use 700 kgs? Are these two figures comparable? Waiting for your answer, yes or no. Are these two figures comparable or not? Waiting for your answers, guys. Can we say that we were supposed to use 60 kgs, but we actually use 700 kgs? Can we say yes or no? I mean, are these two figures comparable? Yes or no? Waiting for your answer. Can we say that we were supposed to use 60 kgs, but we actually use 700 kgs? So waiting for your answers. Are these two figures comparable? Yes or no? Okay, Sudarshan, no. Akshay Kumar, no. Noor Jamila, no. Sudhanshu Shekhar, yes, comparable. Okay, those who have answered yes, do write your explanation. Those who have write no, do write your explanation. Why yes, why no? Waiting for your answers, guys. Quick. I want this session to be interactive. The more you will interact, the more you will understand the concept in detail. This chapter has nothing to do with formulas. इस chapter में कोई भी formula नहीं है. Everything is concepts. So I request you guys to please do post your queries, do post your answers. You will understand this chapter in a better way. Many students find difficulty in learning or remembering the formula. I assure you, by the end of the session, you will be thorough with the concept. No need to memorize or ratify the formulas. No need to do ratification. Understand the concept. You will be the master of standard costing. Okay, I've got answer from Varsha, Arunima, Bhumika, Rushita, Farah, Arya, Dhruti. Yes, Dhruti, your answer is correct. Rest everyone, your explanation is not correct. Okay, so Krishna, yes, sir. Again, Darshan, You are talking about the formula. Sudhanshu Shekhar, you are talking about the formula. Just tell me the concept. I'm waiting for the conceptual answer, that are these two figures comparable or not? If comparable, why? If not comparable, why? Well said, Akshay Kumar. Bhumika, your explanation is not correct. See, whatever you are answering, you should understand that what is wrong. आप क्या गलत सोच रहे हैं? So first identify the mistakes and then rectify it. That also standard costing technique teaches us. So first identify the mistake and then rectify the mistake. So for you also, first identify the mistake, then we will rectify it. Again, Ishan, you are talking about the formula. I'm talking about the concept. Very good, Miss Noor Jamila. Your explanation is correct. Darshan C, again, your explanation is not correct. Sushil, explanation is not correct. Your answer is correct, but the explanation is different. Explanation is not correct. Okay, Suman Banerjee. Incorrect answer, Suman Banerjee. Arunima Sivna, incorrect answer. Varsha Shetty, incorrect answer. Komal, incorrect answer. I need the explanation. Okay, you are saying no, that is different, but yes, I want the explanation why you are saying no. If your answer is wrong, you should understand why it is wrong. Neil Patel, sir, yes, sir, comparable because it's actual cost for production and budgeted standard for every unit, so we can compare it. Rushita Sharma, incorrect answer. So now why? So first and the foremost thing, the answer is no, we cannot compare. Now why we cannot compare? Let me discuss this concept with the help of an example. Again, a very easy example. Let's say I'm the manufacturer of, let's say, shirts. I'm the manufacturer of shirts. No, Bhumika, again, incorrect explanation. No, Darshan, incorrect explanation. Okay, Vishali Bindal. Very good, Vishali, your answer is correct. Namish Bhatt, very good. So now, let me discuss this concept with the help of an example. Let's say I'm the manufacturer of a shirt. I'm the manufacturer of a shirt. Now, as per the target set by the management, that for manufacturing one shirt, we should use 2 meters. This was the target set by the management. We call it as budget by the management. Now, when the actual results were out, we manufactured 5,000 shirts. This is my output. We manufactured 5,000 shirts using 10,500 meters. This is my actual rate. Now, I repeat again, as per the target set by the management, we were supposed to manufacture one shirt using 2 meters. However, when the actual data were out, we manufactured 5,000 shirts using 10,500 meters. Now, the point is, are these two figures comparable that हमें 2 meter use करना चाहिए था? We actually, you consume 10,500 meters. No, these two figures are not comparable because from 2 meters we are getting only 1 unit as output. But since we are manufacturing 5,000 shirts, that's why I have used 10,500 meters. So my point is, are these two figures comparable? क्या हम लोग कह सकते हैं कि हमें 2 meter use करना चाहिए था? हमने 10,500 meters use किया. No, we cannot say because from 2 meters we are getting only one output. But from 10,500 meters we are getting 5,000 shirts as output. So these two figures are not comparable. So now, how to compare the target set with the actual result? So what we will do is, one shirt is to be manufactured using 2 meters. So for 5,000 shirts, the work was to be done in 10,000 meters. One shirt should take not more than 2 meters. It means 5,000 shirts should be manufactured using 10,000 meters. 8 shirt में 2 meters लगता है. So for 5,000 shirts should be manufactured using 10,000 meters. But for manufacturing these 5,000 shirts, we actually consume 10,500 meters. It means the work was supposed to be completed in 10,000 meters. But for manufacturing these 5,000 shirts, I actually consume 10,500 meters. How much extra? 500 meters extra. So that is what we call as the variance. So here, when talking about variance, I repeat again, we have to make it comparable. So here, one shirt take 2 meters. So for 5,000 shirts, that is my actual output, it should be manufactured using 10,000 meters. But for manufacturing these 5,000 shirts, we actually took 10,500 meters. That is 500 meters extra. So that is what we call as variance. So herein, again, we cannot compare 60 kgs with 700 kgs. Why? Because from 60 kgs, if we are using it as input, my output is only 80 units. If we are using 60 kgs as input, my output is 80 units. However, if we are using 700 kgs, my output is 700 units. So my point is there is a difference in output. So for comparing the raw material, my output should be the same. So herein, for 5,000 shirts is what my output. 5,000 shirts कितने meters में manufacture होना चाहिए था? 10,000 meters में. But 5,000 shirts बनाने के लिए हमने कितने meter use किया? 10,500. That is 500 meters extra. So 60 kgs for 80 output. So for 700 output, how much quantity we should have consumed? That you have to answer. I hope this part is clear to you. I request you guys to please copy this explanation. One shirt, 2 meters. 5,000 shirts, 10,000 meters. But the work was completed in 10,500 meters. So 500 meters extra we consume. So that is what we call as variance. So herein, one shirt, 2 meters. Output is one shirt, 2 meters. So for 700 shirts, how much quantity we should have consumed for X? Waiting for your answers, guys. One shirt, that is 80 output, 60 input. So for 700 output, how much quantity we should have used? Waiting for your answers, guys. One shirt, 2 meters. So for 700 shirts, for 700 shirts, how much quantity? So waiting for your answers, guys. X कितना कंज्यूम होना चाहिए था? Very good, Diksha. Correct answer. Ishan, correct answer. 80 output, 60 input. 80 output, 60 input. So for 700 output, how much? 80 is the output for 60 input. So for 700 output, how much? Waiting for your answers, guys. Akshay Kumar, incorrect answer. Nehal, Ishan, Diksha, correct answer. Sushil Kumar Barik, correct answer. Darshan, Arunima, Noor Jamila, Nehal, Anupam, Dhruti, everyone correct answer. Akshay Kumar, your answer is incorrect. Sudhanshu, incorrect answer. Arunima, missing Rajiv Kumar, Suman, Komal, Farah, everybody correct answer. Rushita, Arya, correct answer. Okay, Bhumika, incorrect answer. Miss Drishya, incorrect answer. Kavita, correct answer. Bhumika, please check your answer. Varsha, incorrect answer. Ashwini, correct answer. Vaishali, correct answer. Krishna, incorrect answer. Krishna, incorrect answer. Sushil, correct answer. Very good, Sushil. Again, the same concept. One shirt, 2 meters. 5,000 shirts, 10,000 meters. So again, I'm applying the same concept wherein one shirt, 2 meters. So 5,000 shirts, 10,000 meters. That is 2 meters is my input. So 60 is the input for 80 output. My actual output is how much? 700. I'm talking about this 700. So for 700, how much? 520. So what is this 525 kgs? कि 700 आउटपुट के लिए हमें 525 kgs यूज करना चाहिए था, but for this 700 output we actually use 700 kg. So can you guys please calculate the value of y? Waiting for your answer for y. Again, 40 input for 80 output. So for 700 output, how much? Waiting for your answers, guys. Okay, Kavita, Varsha, Ishan, very good, correct answer. Again, there are no formulas. There are few formulas that are given in study material. Don't try to memorize the formula. 40 input for 80 output. So for 700 units of output, how much? Waiting for your answers, guys. Very good, everyone. Okay, Nehal Patel, your answer is incorrect. Rest everyone. Okay, Rushita, incorrect answer. Sudhanshu, incorrect answer. Guys, again, your approach is incorrect. I'm talking about the output. This is the output. These are the inputs. This is the output. So in material, the basis of comparison is what? Output. Basis of comparison is what? Again, I'm talking about this 700, not this 700. 700 units बनाने के लिए 525 kgs यूज करना चाहिए था, हमने 700 यूज किया. Bhumika, again incorrect answer. Sudhanshu, please refresh your concept. Rushita, again you too. Okay, now I've got correct answer. Yes, Sudhanshu, Arya, Farah, Rushita, Suman, Dikshita, Drishya, very good. So again the same concept. 40 input for 80 output. 40 is the input for 80 output. For 700 output, how much? 250. So here 20% is the normal loss. So 875 minus 20%, 700 will be the output. So now, so for manufacturing these 700 units, 525 units should be used of X, 350 units, 350 kgs we should have used for Y. Again, X should be purchased at the rate 5 and Y should be purchased at the rate rupees 4. So the total cost of manufacturing 700 units should be how much? For X, it should be 2625. And for Y, it should be 1400. So 402. Now it is correct. Yes, Bhumika, again, the basis of comparison is what? Output. So in short, what I want to say is to manufacture 700 units. Again, I'm talking about this 700 units, that is my output, not this 700 units. Few students took this 700 units. So herein I'm talking about my output. So for manufacturing these 700 units, how much quantity was supposed to be used for X? 525 for X, 350 for Y, 875 should be my total input. Further, X should be purchased at the rate 5. Y should be purchased at the rate 4. So for 700 units, how much is the cost that was supposed to be incurred? 4025. But how much is the cost that is actually incurred? 4300. 700 units बनाने के लिए हमें 525 kgs X का यूज करना चाहिए था at the rate 5. Again 350 kgs Y का यूज करना चाहिए था at the rate 4. So the total cost that was supposed to be incurred was 4025. But when the actual results were out, these 700 units were manufactured using X as 700 kgs at the rate 4, 300 kgs at the rate 5, and the cost that is actually incurred for manufacturing these 700 units was 4300. So this is what we can say, that this data and this data are comparable. Why? Because again, this data is for 700 units of output, and this data is also for 700 units of output. Yes, Darshan, the basis of comparison for material variance is what? Output. Again, you should understand the concept in detail because you are the head of material department in this question. If you guys have any doubts till now, you guys can please post your query. Waiting for your query, guys. Anyone having any doubts? Darshan, Bhumika, Rushita, Dikshita, Sudhanshu, Dhruti, Himanshu, Anupam, Komal, Ishan, any doubts? Varsha? Again, there are no formulas in standard costing. Everything is concept. So no need to memorize the formula. Again, the formula is given to calculate 525 and 350 also. That is input divided quantity divided by budgeted input into actual output. Sorry, quantity divided by budgeted output into actual output. So no need to memorize the formula. So now let's proceed further. So in simple terms, we can say 700 units बनाने के लिए ये data या ये खर्च होना चाहिए था, but for manufacturing these 700 units, we actually spent that much. So now the master chart is ready for Darshan, who is the head of material department. So the master chart is ready for Darshan, who is the head of material department. If for manufacturing 700 units, how much cost was supposed to be incurred? Very simple. For manufacturing 700 units, we should have spent how much? 4025 rupees. I repeat again, for manufacturing 700 units, how much amount we should have spent? How much should be the total cost? 4025. But for manufacturing 700 units, the amount that was actually spent was how much? 4,300. That is how much extra we spent. 275 extra cost we incurred. So we call it as adverse. So this is what the deviation in the total cost is what we call as material. Again, this is the deviation in the total cost. So we call it as material cost variance. Alternatively, we can say for 700 units, 525 kgs of X was supposed to be used at the rate 5. However, for manufacturing these 700 units, we actually use 700 kgs at the rate 4. Similarly, for Y also, for 700 units, 350 kgs of Y was supposed to be used at the rate 4. However, for 700 units, we actually consume 300 units at the rate 5. So this is 175 adverse. This is 100 adverse. So total 275 adverse. So this is what we call as material cost variance. Yes, Bhumika, we do compare on the basis of actual output. Arey yaar, Anupam, just 20%. So 875 into 20% is what we call as 175. So my output will be 700. I hope now it's fine for you. So anyone having any doubts in material cost variance, I request you guys to please post your query if anyone having any doubts in material cost variance. Yes, Krishna, any doubts? So now, Darshan being the head of material department is now aware that there is something going wrong in his department. Since, let's say these figures are in 1,000, assume. So the department of Darshan, that is material department, has contributed 275, assuming these figures are in 1,000. So there is a loss of 275 from his department. Now Darshan is worried that yes, I have contributed some loss. I mean, I have contributed in the form of some loss. That is, my target cost. My actual cost was much more than my target cost. So I am also contributing towards the loss of the company. Now Darshan has to figure out that where exactly, the things are going wrong in his department. So now, since Darshan is the head of the material department, he has to figure out there are so many persons working under his department. So he has to figure out that what are the things going wrong in his department. Yes. Now he is able to understand that yes, there is something going wrong in his department. Darshan ko ye pata chal gaya ki there is something going wrong in department. But who is the culprit? Who is the reason behind these variances? That is what Darshan has to figure out. So now let's start with the analysis again. So herein, this loss of 275, two factors are contributing. The first factor is the quantity. That is 525 kgs we were supposed to use, but we actually used 700 kgs. Again, 350 kgs we were supposed to use, but we actually used 300 kgs. So this cost variance is due to, first and the foremost thing, the change in quantity, and second thing is the change in price. That is, X we were supposed to purchase at the rate 5 and Y we were supposed to purchase at the rate 4. However, we purchased at the X at the rate 4 and Y at the rate 5. So two factors are responsible for this material cost variance. Two factors are responsible for this material cost variance. First thing is the quantity consumed, and second thing is what? The price part. Two factors are responsible. The first thing is what we call as the price, and the second thing is what we call as the usage of. These are the two factors responsible for this variance. Now, when talking about the price part, the purchase manager is responsible to purchase the raw material at a competitive price. So this, for talking about the pricing part, the purchase manager is responsible. When talking about the usage part, again, production manager is responsible. So now, no need to, anyways, it's going to be correct, my dear. Krishna, please check 875 into 20% will be 175. So 700 will be my output. No need to show this calculation separately because this data is for 700 units and we have calculated these figures accordingly. So now what Darshan will do, Darshan will first call the purchase manager. That Mr. Purchase Manager, let's say Bhumika is the purchase manager. So what Darshan will do, Darshan will call Bhumika the purchase manager. Now, Darshan will say that Bhumika, you being the purchase manager is responsible for this loss to our company. So please check and submit me the detailed report. Now what Bhumika will do? What Bhumika will do? Bhumika will prepare a report. Bhumika will say, no sir, let me first confirm and prepare my report. Now what Bhumika will do? Bhumika will say, the purchase manager will say, sir, let me check and let me justify. Now, as per the target set, I was supposed to purchase X at the rate ₹5. As per the target set by the company, I was supposed to purchase X at the rate 5. But actually, I purchased X at the rate ₹4. Actually, I purchased X at the rate ₹4. I repeat again. Darshan called Ms. Bhumika, the purchase manager, and he claims that Bhumika, you are the person responsible for this loss. So Bhumika says, sir, no, sir, let me justify my point. So what Bhumika says, that as per the standard set by the company, I was supposed to purchase X at the rate 5. I purchased X at the rate 4. Similarly, for Y also, I was supposed to purchase Y at the rate 4, but I purchased it at Y. Now, the quantity I actually purchased is how much? 700 and 300. The quantity I actually purchased is 700 and 300. I have received the instructions. I have received the instruction that you have to purchase 700 and 300 quantity, and I purchased 700 and 300 quantity. So herein I did a profit of 700, but here I understand there was a loss of 300. But still I am contributing towards profit. I am contributing towards the profit only, that is of 400. I repeat again the explanation given by Bhumika, where in the first point X they were supposed to purchase at the rate 5, but they actually purchased at the rate 4. For Y also again they were supposed to purchase at the rate 4, but they actually purchased at 5. When talking about the evaluation of performance of Bhumika, again her evaluation will be her work will be evaluated on the work done by her. So herein, when talking about the work done by her, she has purchased 700 and 300 quantity. That is my actual quantity. So herein, 5 minus 4 that into 700, that is 400. Now herein there is a question that, sir, why you have taken actual quantity? Why not this quantity? So guys, when talking about the work done by the purchase manager is not at all concerned about kitna quantity use hona chahiye. Purchase manager is only concerned about the price. और ये जो क्वांटिटी एक्चुअली 700 और 300 यूज हुआ, ये कहां से यूज हुआ होगा? जब परचेज मैनेजर ने परचेज किया होगा तभी यूज हुआ होगा. फर्दर अगेन, एज आई हैव डिस्कस्ड इन मटेरियल चैप्टर आल्सो, दैट the production department or production department approach the stores department approaches the purchase department that you have to purchase so and so quantity and we have to use so and so quantity. अब परचेज डिपार्टमेंट ने मटेरियल परचेज कर दिया, उसके बाद स्टोर्स डिपार्टमेंट वाला घर पे लेके जाए या प्रोडक्शन के लिए यूज करे, दैट इज नन ऑफ अवर बिजनेस. सो द पॉइंट इज परचेज मैनेजर इज नॉट एट ऑल कंसर्न्ड कि हाउ मच क्वांटिटी वाज सपोज्ड टू बी यूज्ड. Purchase manager is concerned only about the price. So when talking about the actual quantity, why have taken actual quantity? She should have received the purchase requisition that you have to purchase so and so quantity. So she will purchase that so and so quantity as mentioned without any question. She is concerned only about the price. Again, the purchase manager is only concerned about the price, not कि कितना क्वांटिटी यूज होना चाहिए था, कितना क्वांटिटी यूज हो रहा है. दैट इज नॉट हर स्कोप ऑफ वर्क. हर स्कोप ऑफ वर्क इज व्हाट? टू चेक द प्राइस. सो when talking about why I have taken actual quantity, I repeat again, guys, do make a note of it. Why I have taken actual quantity? First point, purchase manager is not at all concerned about कितना quantity use होना चाहिए था. Purchase manager has received a purchase requisition कि you should purchase so and so quantity. So ये जो actual quantity use हुआ है 700 300 कहां से use हुआ है? When the purchase manager has purchased, so the purchase manager received the requisition that you have to purchase 700 and 300 quantity. So accordingly she purchased 700 and 300 quantity and her performance will be evaluated on the basis of quantity she actually purchased. So accordingly I have taken the actual quantity. So final conclusion on material price variance. The price at which X was supposed to be purchased was 5, but X was purchased at the rate 4 and the quantity actually purchased is 700. So here there is a profit of 700. When talking about Y, again the price at which Y was supposed to be purchased was 4. However, it was purchased at the rate 5 and the quantity that is actually purchased is 300. So okay, there is a loss of 300, but however, purchase manager is contributing towards the overall profit of the company, that is by 400 favorable. So when talking about the work of purchase manager, she is only concerned about the price. So here in this purchase manager is only concerned about the price. So there is a deviation in price that is we are calculating in this variant. So we call it as material price variance. If you guys have any doubts in material price variance, you guys can please post your queries. Yes, Darshan. This is the overall material price variance. For X, it is favorable. For Y, it is adverse. However, the net material price variance is 400 favorable. Anyone having any doubts? Arya, Komal, Bhumika, Anupam, Varsha? Again, I want to say purchase manager has nothing to do with that kitna quantity use hona chahiye tha, kitna quantity use hua. Purchase manager is only concerned about price. That is, ये प्राइस पे परचेस करना चाहिए था, ये प्राइस पे परचेस किया. When talking about quantity, again, her performance will be evaluated on the basis of actual quantity, because ये actual quantity consume कहां से हुआ? जब परचेज मैनेजर ने परचेज किया होगा. So परचेज मैनेजर को परचेज रिक्विजिशन मिला होगा and she purchased the actual quantity. So her performance will be evaluated on the basis of actual quantity, not this quantity. ये क्वांटिटी जो है उससे एक परचेज मैनेजर का कुछ भी लेना देना नहीं है. Anyone having any doubts? Yes, Anupam, Varsha, Komal, Krishna. Sushil Kumar Barik, performance of purchase manager is evaluated on the basis of quantity actually purchased, that is mentioned in purchase requisition. Further, purchase manager has nothing to do with how much quantity that was supposed to be used, because this is not in the scope of work of purchase manager. Purchase manager के लिए important part क्या है? That at this price I have to purchase and at this price I actually purchase. That is very important. But when talking about the quantity part, very important, again, the quantity we will be taking actual quantity, because kitna quantity use hona chahiye tha, that is not within the scope of work of purchase manager. Yes, Darshan, any doubts? Arunima? Yes, Ishan, the purchase manager is innocent, so Bhumika is innocent. In fact, she has contributed towards the profit of the company, not towards loss. So there is nothing going wrong in purchase department. Waiting for your queries, guys, giving you 2 minutes time. If you guys have any queries in the work done by the purchase manager, you guys can please post your queries. Very important, guys. The most important part is why I am taking actual quantity, because purchase manager has nothing to do with that how much quantity was supposed to be used. She is only concerned about the price part. Further, when talking about the quantity purchase, she'll be taking the quantity actually purchased, that is mentioned in the purchase requisition. Vishali, I have not received any query from your end. Any doubts, Bhumika? Sushil, hopefully your query is resolved. Yes, 400 is the total material price variance, and that too also it is favorable. Any doubts, Suman, Farah, Arya, Anupam, Rushita, Sushil, Nehal? So now let's proceed further. So herein, there is an overall loss of 275 in the material department. However, when talking about the work done by the purchase department, they are contributing towards a profit that is 400 favorable. It means when talking about the production manager, again, there is a loss that is, there is some loss that is done by the production manager. That is here 400 is the profit, 275 is the loss. So it means what production manager is contributing towards loss of 675. I repeat again. No, I have not received any question. I'll be discussing this part separately. Yes, Ashwini Ben Patel. Purchase department only work for relevant department given request to purchase. Yes, purchase department is only concerned about the price. Further, the purchase department will purchase that much quantity that that they have received instruction from the production department. They has nothing to do with that how much quantity is supposed to be used, how much quantity that is actually used. They are concerned only about how much, at what price we should purchase, and at what price we actually purchased. So now there is an overall loss of 275, wherein the purchase department has done a great job, wherein they are saying that we made a profit of rupees 400 to the company. It means the loss that is contributed by the production manager is 675. That is 675 is the loss. 400 is the profit. So the overall loss is 275. So now what Darshan will do, that is the head of purchase department, head of material department, he will call the production manager. So let's say Ishan is the production manager. He calls Ishan that, Mr. Ishan, I think there is something going wrong in your department and you are only contributing towards the loss of the company. So Ishan says, no, sir, let me justify. So now, guys, see the justification. Please listen carefully to the justification that is given by Ishan, that who is the production manager, who is responsible for usage of raw material. So now let's start with the justification that is made by the production manager who is responsible for usage of raw material. Now, when talking about the explanation of Ishan, for X, he says that we were supposed to use 525. Again, they are talking about the uses of raw material. So for 700 units of output, how much quantity of X was supposed to be used? 525. How much quantity X was actually used? 700. Similarly, for Y also, how much quantity that was supposed to be used? 350. How much quantity we actually used? 300. Now, yes, Diksha, purchase department is only concerned about the work done by her. Her performance will be evaluated on the basis of work done by her. अगर आप कोई भी कॉर्पोरेट में भी जाते हैं तो सबके डिपार्टमेंट अलग अलग होते हैं. हर डिपार्टमेंट का परफॉर्मेंस इंडिविजुअली इवैल्यूएट होता है. So their performance is evaluated on the basis of work done by them, not work done by others. So now let's see, guys, when talking about the work done by the production manager, Ishan says that I was supposed to use 525 kgs of X, but I actually used 700 kgs. I understand that I have used more. For Y also, again, we were supposed to use 350 kgs, but we actually used 300. Now, they have to evaluate the performance in monetary terms. So when talking about the rate, we will be taking standard rate. That is 5 and 4. Now the question is 4 and 5. Why not 4 and 5? Now guys, this actual price represents what? The work done by the purchase manager. जब परचेज मैनेजर को कितना क्वांटिटी यूज होना चाहिए था उससे कोई मतलब नहीं है, तो फिर प्रोडक्शन मैनेजर को परचेज मैनेजर ने क्या प्राइस पे परचेज किया, they have nothing to do with. They will be taking the standard price because they have nothing to do with the work done by the purchase manager. This actual price represents what? The work done by the purchase manager. That actual raw material purchase was at the rate 4 for X and 5 for Y. So it represents the work done by the purchase manager. So how can you evaluate the performance of production manager on the basis of work done by the purchase manager? So better take the standard price. So herein, that's why I have taken standard price here. Again, the purchase manager has nothing to do with kitna quantity use hona chahiye tha. So similarly, production manager has nothing to do with the work done by the purchase manager. So accordingly, we will not be taking 4 and 5, we'll be taking the target price, that is 5 and 4 set up by the management, and accordingly their performance will be evaluated. So herein, this will be 875 adverse and this will be 200 favorable. So this is how I got a loss of 675 adverse. So now Ishan says, oh sir, I'm really sorry that yes, my department has contributed towards loss of 675. Now, since Ishan is at a very good post, he's a production manager, the company cannot fire him. So what company will suggest? Please find out in your department that the things are going wrong in your department. He is a senior person, company इसे remove नहीं कर सकती है, but company will give strict instruction that Mr. Ishan, please check your team. There is something going wrong in your team, and because of this, your department is contributing to a loss of 675. So herein, again, when talking about the work done by the production manager, they talk about usage. कितना quantity use करना चाहिए था 525. कितना quantity use किया 700. So it talks about the difference in usage. So that's why we call it as material usage variance. That is the difference in usage. So we call it as material usage. So herein, I repeat again, very important, why I have taken standard price, because actual price represents the work done by the purchase manager. So how come you can evaluate the work of production department on the basis of work done by the purchase manager? We cannot. So herein, that's why I have taken the standard price. If you guys have any doubts in this part, you guys can please post your query. Again, very important, when talking about the price variance, क्या price पे purchase करना चाहिए था 5, क्या price पे purchase किया 4, into actual quantity. Why actual quantity? I have already discussed. Similarly, for Y, the price at which we were supposed to purchase Y was 4, and we are actually purchased Y at the rate 5. So 4 minus 5 into 300. So this is how material price variance we calculated. When talking about usage variance, it represents the work done by the production manager. So when talking about the usage, the name itself says the difference in usage. So how much quantity we were supposed to use of X? 525. How much quantity why 5? Because we will not be taking 4 and 5 because it represents the work done by the purchase manager. So we will ignore this price. We will be taking standard price. Similarly, again, 350 we were supposed to use, but we actually use 300 into the standard price, that is 4. So this is how we got the material usage variance. So now there is something going wrong in production department. Now, what is going wrong in production department? I'll be discussing this after a break. So if you guys have any doubts in this part, you guys can please post your query, giving you 2 minutes time. The work that is done by the usage department will be evaluating, yes, there is something going wrong in the department that is led by Ishan. But what is going wrong? We'll be discussing this after a break. So if you guys have any doubts in this part, waiting for your queries, guys. I'll be doing the quick review once I discuss all the points. Anyone having any doubts? Diksha, yes, purchase department is concerned only about the work done by them. Similarly, when talking about the production department also, their performance will be evaluated on the basis of work done by them. उसके अंदर purchase department ने क्या किया है, they have nothing to do with it. Material price usage is calculated with price difference. Yes, Sushil. Thank you so much, Nehal. Thanks for the compliment. So let's take a break of 15 minutes. Badly need a break now. So we'll be back after 15 minutes with the remaining part of material variances. There are many more things need to be discussed. Again, the work that is done by the subordinates or junior of Ishan, that is the head of the production department. I'll be discussing this part after a break. So let's take a break of 15 minutes. Welcome back, friends. So, till now we discussed material cost variance, material price variance, material usage variance. Now, let's proceed further. Now, guys, when talking about usage variance, the production department or production head is responsible for usage variance. So, here in Ishan, so Ishan was the production head. Now, Ishan cannot be removed from the company because he's the production head. But yes, Darshan, that is the head of material department, instructed Ishan to please check in detail that what is going wrong in his department. So now, what Ishan will do, again, two persons are working under Ishan. Very important, guys. Two persons are working under Ishan. Very important, guys. See, there is a difference of usage. But again, there are two persons working under Ishan. That is, first one is the engineer and second one is the production supervisor. Now, when talking about the engineer, his duty, he is responsible to maintain the mix. I understand there is a difference in usage, but there are there can be two reasons for the difference of usage. First is due to change in product mix, and second is due to change in overall usage. So herein, when talking about the engineer work, the work of the engineer is to maintain the adequate mix. Let's say I'm the manufacturer of shirt. Again, very important, guys, the engineer is required to maintain the adequate mix. That is, how much should be the percentage of cotton, how much should be the percentage of nylon, how much should be the lycra, how much should be the polyester. So now in this company, it was advised that the usage should be in the ratio of 60:40. Whatever the raw material we have to use, it should be used in the ratio of 60:40. So that was the mix as advised by the management. So herein, we'll be first evaluating the done work by the engineer. So let's say Sushil Kumar Barik is the engineer. Mr. Sushil Kumar is the engineer. Now what Ishan will do, Ishan will call Sushil that Mr. Sushil, I think you are the person responsible for this loss of 675. Please do submit your justification. Now guys, listen to the explanation that is made by Sushil. That is very important. Now what Sushil says, the company told me to maintain the ratio in the input ratio that is 60:40. It means my total input was how much? 1000. It should be in the ratio of 60:40. My total actual input is 1000. It should be in the ratio of 60:40. That is 600:400. I understand that there is a change in mix from my end. I changed the mix to 70:30 for the betterment of product. But sir, I am not contributing that much. Again, since it is the subordinate of the production department, so the role of purchase manager will not come into picture, will be taking the standard price only, that is 5 and 4. So herein he is making a loss of 500, but herein he is doing a profit of 400 also. So at the end of the day, Mr. Sushil is contributing towards loss, but that too also only 100. I repeat again, when talking about the work done by the engineer, they are responsible to maintain the mix. So herein, when talking about the change in mix, the actual input was 1000. My actual input was 1000. This should be in the ratio of 60:40. हमने actual input किया 1000, जो कि क्या ratio में होना चाहिए था? 60:40, that is 600:400. But my actual mix was 700:300. So due to change in mix, there is a loss to the company, that is 100 adverse. So herein, when talking about the work done by the engineer, we talk about the mix. So we call it as material mix variance. So what Sushil can say, sir, sorry, I'll take care of the things, but yes, I changed the mix for the betterment of the product. So see, he somehow, somewhere can justify his mistake, but very important, this person, that is ultimate production supervisor, the total loss of the production department or the usage department is 675. Out of this, the engineer is contributing only 100. So it means the balance loss of 575 is what? The production supervisor, who is actually directly involved in production. That is, who is putting the raw material in the machinery and getting the final output. So now let's see. Now let's see what Ishan will do. That is the production manager. Ishan will call the ultimate production supervisor. So let's say Mr. Rajesh is the ultimate production supervisor. So so Ishan called Mr. Rajesh, that is the production supervisor, that Mr. Rajesh, I think you are the sole person responsible for this loss to the company. So what Rajesh says, sir, let me justify first, then we will see that I am responsible or not. So now guys, listen to the explanation that is given by Rajesh. Very important, guys. Our actual output was 700. Our actual output was 700. This 700 units should be manufactured using 875 kgs of raw material overall. I repeat again, this 700 units should be manufactured using 875 kgs of raw material. But to manufacture 700 units, we actually consumed 1000 kgs of raw material. It means there is a loss of 125 kgs. There is a loss of 125 kgs. जो काम 875 kgs में हो जाना चाहिए था, with the work which was supposed to be completed in 875 kgs, the work was completed in 1000 kgs. It means straight away loss of 125 kgs. Now Rajesh is left out with no explanation. अब हुआ क्या होगा, या तो प्रोडक्शन सुपरवाइजर अपने घर पे लेके चला गया होगा रॉ मटेरियल, या फिर the wastage is much more than what is expected. Either it may be due to normal reasons or abnormal reason, but yes, there is a wastage of 125 kgs of raw material. So herein, again expressing it in monetary terms, अब ये 125 kgs का नुकसान हुआ है. Again, we'll be taking the standard price. The point is, we'll be taking either 5 or 4 or 4.5 or weighted average price. The best approach is weighted average price, because herein the quantity is also different, the price is also different. So herein 525 into 5 plus 350 into 4, total 4025 is the cost for 875. Total 4025 is the cost for 875. So how much will be the cost for 125 kg? 575. So this 575 adverse represents what? The work done by the production supervisors, जो actually raw material जिसके हाथ में रहता है, वो raw material जो issue करता है production department को for manufacturing the goods. So this is the person responsible for this loss of 575. Again, he uses the inputs and generates the output. This production supervisor uses the raw material and generates the output. So herein, this variance, we call it as yield variance. What we call it as? Yield variance. Again, there are 2-3 more ways to calculate material yield variance, but not to confuse you guys, this is the easiest approach, so better follow this approach. Again, I repeat again, guys, there are 2-3 more ways to calculate material yield variance, using normal loss also, using mix also. Again, there is one more way, but better to use this approach. This is the easiest approach. So if you guys have any, wait for a minute, Rajesh, I think you are going to lose the job. So wait for a minute. So this is what we call it as material yield variance. If you guys have any doubt, when talking about the head of the production department, again, Mr. Ishan, company उसे निकाल नहीं सकती because he is the head of the production department. But yes, strict instructions can be given to Ishan that please check that where the things are going wrong. आपके system में कहीं ना कहीं कुछ ना कुछ गलत चल रहा है. So please figure out and take corrective action. So herein, Ishan calls the two subordinates. The first one is the engineer, that is who is responsible to maintain the product mix. So here, when talking about the work done by the engineer, this is what my production supervisor. So herein, when talking about the work done by the engineer, my actual inputs are 1000. It should be in the ratio of 60:40. I'll be discussing this part, my dear Kavita. Just wait for some time. When talking about the engineering part, my actual input is 1000. It should be in the ratio of 60:40. That is 600:400. How come 600? But my actual, again, 1000 should be in the ratio of 60:40. That is 600:400 should be my ratio of actual input. That is actual input. But for the actual input, the actual ratio was 700:300. So there is a mixed variance of 100. I'll be taking standard price only because these users, these are the subordinates of, or these are the breakups of usage department. So their work is to be evaluated on the basis of standard price rather than the work done by the purchase manager. That is the actual price. So we will not be taking actual price, but we'll be taking standard price only. So this should be the standard mix. This is the actual mix. So there is a variance of 100. Further, when talking about yield variance, it represents कि हमारे input से output कितना आया. So herein, my actual output is 700. ये output कितने inputs में आना चाहिए था? 875 inputs. But to manufacture these 700 units, how much quantity was actually consumed? 1000 kgs were actually consumed. That is how much extra it was consumed. 125 kgs extra it was consumed. अब ये 125, अब ये 125 kgs कौन सा हो सकता है? कुछ x का भी हो सकता है, कुछ y का भी हो सकता है. So which price we are supposed to take? Either 5, 4 or 4.5. See, we cannot take 5, we cannot take 4. We cannot take 4.5. Why? Because again, the quantity also plays an important role. So the best approach is take the weighted average price. How come weighted average price? 525 into 5, 265. 350 into 4, 1400. 4025. So 4025 is the total cost of 875 units. So how much will be the proportionate cost of 125 kg? 575. So this is what we call it as material yield variance. So thank you so much. Thank you so much, Ashwin Ben Patel. Okay, Ashwin Ben Patel, when talking about the material mix variance, the name itself says mix. Mix में कितना change हुआ है? So herein 1000 is the input. The mix should be 60-40, मतलब 600-400. But the actual mix was 700-300. So it talks about mix, not about price. You have mentioned that, sir, material mix variance is calculated on price. See, material price variance is calculated on price difference. Material usage is calculated on usage difference. Material mix talks about difference in mix. Yield means how much input we were supposed to use for the actual output and how much input we actually use. That is what we call as yield. And when talking about cost, it talks about the overall cost variance. Anyone having any doubts, queries, you guys can please post your queries. I'll be revising this part again. I'll be discussing the formulas also that are given in the study material. So still, if you guys have any queries in this part, you guys can please post your query, giving you 2 minutes time to please post your queries, guys. Stop copying. Abhi aapko copy nahi karna hai. I'll be giving you time to copy, but just first and the foremost thing, I want you guys to be thorough with the concept. So please post your queries if you guys have any queries. individually if you have any doubts in cost variance, price variance, usage variance, mix variance, and yield variance. I'll be revising each and every part in detail, Arunima. Then we'll be preparing the conclusion also. Yes, Nehal, Miss Jamila, Kavita, Rushita, Diksha, Rajesh, Arunima, Darshan, Bhumika, Kiran Shukla, Rushita, Ishan, Sushil Kumar, Suman, Komal. Anyone having any doubts? Himanshu, Sudhanshu, Drishya, Krishna, Varsha. Yes, guys, are you there? You can write a mail to ICAI, Ashwini. I'll address your query, Ashwini. Don't worry, you can write a mail to ICAI. Yes, Darshan. Arunima, any doubts? Okay, great. So let's take a quick review of what we have discussed. So let's first decide that what action the company need to take. So herein, Darshan is the head of the material department. So after the necessary working, he is able to figure out that there is a loss of 275. Now herein, the purchase manager has done a great job wherein he is contributing towards profit rather than loss. When talking about the work done by Ishan, yes, his department is contributing towards loss. Further, there are two subordinates, that is the engineer and the production supervisor. When talking about the engineer, he has made a loss of 100. However, there is, the maximum loss is contributed by production supervisor. So this is the diagnostic report of the material department. जैसे ब्लड रिपोर्ट रहता है वैसे मटेरियल डिपार्टमेंट का ये डायग्नोस्टिक रिपोर्ट आ गया है. Now, herein, this guy should be rewarded. This guy, that is the purchase manager. Who was the purchase manager? Bhumika was the purchase manager. She should be rewarded either in the form of salary increment or in the form of some sort of incentive. When talking about Ishan, he needs to be very much more careful while delegating the work. He has to check. He has to keep a check on his employee. Again, company cannot remove Ishan because he is the head of the production department. When talking about engineer, somehow, somewhere he can escape. Somehow, somewhere Sushil can escape. Sir, even though I changed the mix, but I improved the product quality and it will help us in building the goodwill or brand name. So somehow, somewhere he can escape. But again, Mr. Rajesh, you are left out with no other explanation. This guy should be removed from the company. So, Mr. Rajesh, your job is in danger. So, again, there is no explanation. Is Rajesh, that is the production supervisor is left out with no explanation because he has contributed to an overall loss to the company, to the material department and to the company. That is 125 kgs loss out of 1000 kgs. So, guys, this person should be removed. Further, this person should be rewarded. Again, strict guidelines is to be given to the production manager. Somehow, somewhere, engineer can escape without any explanation. Somehow, somewhere, he can say that, sir, even though I have changed the mix, but yes, the product quality is improved, and we can somehow, somewhere build the brand image or brand name of our company. So, with this better mix. So, guys, let's revise what we have discussed till now. This was the budget as given by the management. That is, for every 80 output, we have to use 2 raw material, that is 60x, 40y. The price at which X is to be purchased was 5, and for Y it is to be purchased at the rate 4. When talking about when the actual results were out, the actual quantity purchased for X, The actual quantity purchased for X was 700 at the rate 4 and for Y it was 300 at the rate 5. So the cost that was actually incurred was 4,300. Now, these two figures were not comparable. Why? Because their output is different. The budgeted output is 80, the actual output is 700. So we cannot compare. So we have to make it comparable by preparing revised standard. So here in 60 for 80, so for 700 output, how much? 525. 40 input for 80 output, for 700 output, how much? 350. So for manufacturing 700 units, 525 kgs are to be used at the rate 5, 350 kgs of Y are to be used at the rate 4. So the total cost that was supposed to be incurred for 700 units was 4025, but the cost that is actually incurred is 4,300. So we can say there is an increase in overall cost. We call it as material cost variance, that is 275. Alternatively, we can calculate material cost variance as 525 was supposed to be used at the rate 5, but we actually use. One second, guys. Let me use the red marker. Rajesh Kumar, Mr. Rajesh, better luck next time. You will be the leader in the labor department. Don't worry. You will be rewarded for it. So now, when talking about material cost variance, again, 525 into 5 minus 700 into 4. So we call it as standard quantity into standard price minus actual quantity into actual price. So this is the formula that is given in the study material. Further, when talking about the price variance, it talks about the difference in price. It represents the work done by the purchase manager. So, क्या price पे purchase करना चाहिए था 5? क्या price पे purchase किया 4? Into actual quantity. Why actual quantity? Because the work of the purchase department is to be evaluated on the work actually done by them. So their work will be evaluated on the basis of quantity that is actually purchased. So this price minus this price into actual quantity. So when talking about material price variance, this 5 is my standard price, minus 4 is my actual price into actual quantity. Similarly, 4 minus 5 into 300. So this is how material price variance works. When talking about usage variance, again, the name itself says usage variance. That is the difference in usage. Again, how much quantity that was supposed to be used? 525. How much quantity that is actually used? 700 into the standard price, because again, their performance cannot be evaluated on the basis of work done by the purchase manager. So when talking about usage variance, again, कितना quantity use करना चाहिए था? Standard quantity use करना चाहिए था. How much quantity we actually used? Actual quantity into we will be taking standard price. Again, when talking about mix variance, mix क्या होना चाहिए था? That is my standard mix. What should be the mix? That is standard mix minus actual quantity into standard price. Further, when talking about yield variance, again, it can be calculated using it can be calculated in 2-3 ways. But since I have explained this is the best way, however, you can apply this formula wherein standard quantity minus standard mix into standard price to calculate the yield variance. Further, guys, from this chart, we can figure out that material price plus usage is equals to cost. See, my material price variance was 400 favorable. I told you well in advance that this will be 675 because my total loss is 275. So 400 favorable plus 675 adverse. This will be 275 adverse. So we can say material cost variance is equals to material price plus material usage. Further, this 675 usage variance, again, this production manager has two subordinates, that is engineer and production supervisor. So we can say material usage variance will be equal to material mix variance plus material yield variance. So this is all what about material variance. The entire concept is covered in detail. Again, no need to memorize the formula. I hope you guys are thorough with the concept, how these formulas are prepared. I request you guys to please use the concepts rather than formulas. Try to memorize the concept. I understand it's a bit tricky, but trust me, once you solve 3 to 4 questions, you will understand that, you'll be able to figure out that yes, concepts are much more easy to remember rather than formulas. So I hope you will be using the concepts rather than formula. Now I request you guys to please copy this explanation plus whatever the queries you have in material variance. You guys can please post your queries. Waiting for your queries, guys, giving you 5 minutes time to please copy this explanation. Whatever the comments you want to write it with red pen. Whatever the queries you have, you guys can please post your query. Giving you 5 minutes time. Right now it's 9:10. By 9:15, whatever the queries you have, you guys can please post your query. Again, Miss Noor Jamila, we can, as I told you, yield variance can be calculated using normal loss. So see, here in 875 minus 175 is what? My output. So 175 should be the loss and 300 is the actual loss. So 125, that extra loss over and above normal loss, is what we call as abnormal loss. So this 125 kgs represents the abnormal loss only. So giving you 5 minutes time, please copy each and every concept in detail. अगर आपको concepts याद करने में problem आ रहा है तो write it down in your language. बार बार आप lecture नहीं सुन सकते, so better write it in your notebook. Every time when I teach the concept, you will find it easy. But try to understand the concept in your way. That will help you a lot. So giving you 5 minutes time, please do copy the explanation and the concepts. Waiting for your queries, guys. Bhumika, let me check. I'm not getting what you are saying, Bhumika. Anyways, you can follow this approach. Yes, Vaishali, you can say this. So guys, I hope you guys are thorough with the concept of material variance. So now I request you guys to please revise what I have discussed in this session, because since the time it's already 9:23, I can't discuss few more things. I mean, I want to discuss one more question, but since the time is running, so I'll be starting with few more questions in the next session, and then we'll start with the remaining variances. So thank you so much for your time and patience, and for active participating in the session. I request you to revise what I have discussed till now and solve this question twice with the help of concept, and be prepared for the next session, that is day after tomorrow. Thank you so much, guys.